Of flavor. Whether you're craving sizzling fajitas, cheesy enchiladas, or the best margaritas in town, Las Palmas Mexican Grill and Rio Cantina Mexican Grill have you covered. Bring the family, bring your friends, and bring your appetite. From fresh guacamole to mouth-watering tacos that hit just right, it's not just a dinner, it's a celebration. So why wait? Tonight, make it Las Palmas or make it Rio Cantina, two local favorites serving up authentic Mexican taste right here in Baton Rouge. Las Palmas Mexican Grill and Rio Cantina Mexican Grill, where every night's a fiesta.
This hour of Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny is brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, 343-1111, and ocbrown.com. Roto-Rooter for all your plumbing needs, 925-8710. Supreme Rice, grown, milled, processed in Louisiana since 1936. United Community Bank, the local way to bank big. Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on Jefferson Highway, 928-8659. Total Maintenance, your one-stop shop for AC, electrical, generators, and plumbing. Service today, every day for Total Maintenance. And Coastal Capital Advisors. Markets evolve. We adapt.
At Lewis Mechanical, no plumbing job's too big or too small, and we have the best technicians around. Lewis Mechanical specializes in both commercial and residential plumbing repairs.
Lewis Mechanical, keeping plumbing humming.
Insurance companies have teams of professionals to fight your claim. If you want to know what your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at 1045 ESPN and on Instagram at ESPN 1045. For a look behind the scenes, highlights from our shows, the chance to participate in exclusive contests, and more with 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Braxton Rizzuto, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. And we got 2 full hours for you to kick off this week. Masters in the rearview mirror. I'll get to it later on in the show. We got to watch LSU football for 2 hours on Saturday. I've got a lot of thoughts from that. LSU basketball has hired a pretty splashy name officially to the assistant coaching staff. Let's get to that at the end of the hour. Saints, pass catcher targets. What are some attributes that they may be looking for in the draft, which is now more rapidly approaching toward the end of this month? Lots and lots and lots to get to. Let's start, like we do every single day, with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
Tigers swept right out of Oxford, Mississippi. It was ugly over the weekend. I told you on Friday, I felt like LSU needed to win on Friday. I thought Hunter Elliott was gettable. I thought you had your best starter on the mound with a rested bullpen. I thought that was your best chance to get one. I felt awful about the matchup on Saturday with Cade Townsend and William Schmidt. LSU got 10 run, and LSU hasn't done anything in terms of pitching on Sunday. I knew that Taylor Rabe was going to come out throwing 97, 98 miles an hour, and he did. You needed to win on Friday, and you didn't. And then you had no chance on Saturday, and you had very little chance thanks to the fight that your team is displaying on Sundays. As Jay Johnson said post-game, we do know that they can fight against bullpens on Sunday. Like, that's the only real positive that I'm looking at with this club. But that's something that they do. And they got behind 7-0 and got all the way back to 7-7 and couldn't quite get it done. You know, in Friday's game, things started out wonderfully. Chris Stanfield draws a walk. They try to pick him off, throw it away. Jake Brown bashes a homer into right field. Cade Arambidi gets an infield hit. Then Mason Braun singles to left center. You got runners at the corners. And you've made Hunter Elliott work. You've got 2 runs on the board. You've got 2 guys on base. You send a runner to second base to try to get into scoring position. And Cade Arambidi gets picked off third base on a pump fake by the catcher. This is a play that is run in 10-year-old baseball. 10-year-old baseball. And Cade Arambidi gets picked off. Later on in the game, Mason Braun is on base. At first, he's not stealing. He gets picked off. You get picked off, you're trying to steal a bag. It happens over the course of a 56-game schedule. I'm probably not going to throw a fit. But when you know that this pitcher's got a good pickoff move and you're not going anywhere, you need to have a one-way lead and be able to get back if he throws over there. And Braun just didn't do it. And that was just a couple of the horrendous errors that LSU made in this game. Not necessarily all errors on the score sheet, although LSU did have one of those, but just mistakes that LSU made in the game. You cannot do those things. When Seth Dardar is asked to get a safety squeeze down with runners on first and third and 1 out in the 4th inning, and there's a fastball right down the middle of the plate, and he doesn't bunt it, that dog won't hunt. You got to get the bunt down. When you bring in a college athlete, I don't want to hear the term freshman, a college athlete to play second base, and there's a ground ball to the left side, and you can't get your foot on second base, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And unfortunately, I don't mean to crush young players, certainly guys that are in their first year at LSU, but you've brought in Jack Ruckert and Ethan Kloss to play defense, and it's one thing to kick a ground ball, but Ruckert had a one-hopper that was chest high last month that he didn't catch. And now you've got Kloss who doesn't put his foot on the base. These are not, I didn't field a ground ball. These are just the moments too big. I don't need to be out here is what it looks like to me. Ethan Kloss has been playing baseball his entire life. How many times has he missed the base on a force out? That's a bright spotlight. And so you can't get it out there. And then they hit a 190-foot pop-up to left field, and Will Furniss tags. Will Furniss runs with a piano on his back. And Chris Stanfield catches the ball flat-footed and then throws it 20 feet up the third baseline to allow another run to score. Just so not clean. Nothing LSU does outside of Stephen Milo defensively is not clean. I haven't even mentioned the fact that you had a ball that was a strike that Omar Cerna didn't catch, and it popped so far out of his glove, it played it a run. You're not going to be able to make these kinds of mistakes and win games on Fridays in the SEC. It's just not going to happen. And you didn't. And meanwhile, you go out there and you get a 2-0 lead like I talked about, and then Kason Evans goes out, your Friday night starter, and he allows 4 of the first 5 Ole Miss players to get a hit. That's just not setting the tone on a Friday. Now, I will spin that a little bit because I have to be consistent with my message. I don't like when teams come in and run their playbook against you. It irritated me to watch LSU allow Kentucky to play its brand of baseball when they came to the box. That irritated me. I think you should be able to stop teams from doing what they want to do. My preferred way to get beat is a team doing something outside of its norm. If I bring it to a basketball analogy, if you're facing a team that dominates in the paint and shoots 28% from 3, and they come out and knock down 15 threes, I can live with that sometimes because that's you game plan, you try to execute something. If they do something completely out of their comfort zone, sometimes you tip your cap. And in this series, you could make that argument. I'm not going to, but you could, because Ole Miss has not played offense the way they did this weekend against anybody else in the league. They played Texas in the opener. They scored 13 runs on 24 hits. Against Kentucky, they scored 15 total runs on the weekend, had 17 hits. Against Mississippi State, they had 6 runs on the weekend, had 17 hits. Against Florida, 11 runs on the weekend, 21 hits. They were averaging in the neighborhood of about 11.5 runs per weekend. Their high water mark was 15. You allowed them to score 26 runs on 26 hits. This is an anemic offense. They came into this weekend in league play, so through 4 weeks, with the fewest base hits in the conference and the third lowest batting average. They were anemic offensively. And for 3 days, they hit 348 against you. 348. What was their average entering the weekend? 254. They were almost 100 points higher against you. So, on one hand, it's like, oh, well, Ole Miss just kind of got things going. On the other hand, it's indictment of your pitching staff to not be able to go out there and hold this offense down, which everyone else has done. They scored 6 runs on Mississippi State, and Mississippi State didn't have their ace. They scored 11 on Florida. The 13 they scored on Texas included extra innings. You didn't even allow them to – they hit 6 times on Saturday. So, it was a terrible, terrible weekend for LSU pitching. It was a poor weekend for LSU offensively, the vast majority of it. You were just completely outclassed in the game on Saturday. Schmidt got off to a good start. The stuff looked good. Got a couple of strikeouts. The slider looked really good. And then got to the 4th inning. He walks the first 2 guys of the inning, and it all just kind of comes unraveling, and they just start knocking balls all over the place. And ultimately, you know, the 7 runs and the 6 was probably a good thing for LSU. You didn't have to use any more pitching. And you go out on Sunday in a game that you really need to win. You needed to get one. And Rabe, who is a converted bullpen guy, now he's got great stuff. I told you that on Friday. He throws 97 miles an hour. The sinker is heavy. And he was throwing strikes, and he no-hits you for 6 innings. But to LSU's credit, and this is something I don't really take any joy in saying, I don't want to credit LSU's effort. I'd like to credit winning games and contending for championships. Effort should be a given. But these guys got down 7-0 and came out swinging, hit back-to-back-to-back home runs, put together some other good at-bats in that inning, and end up with a little bit of help from the wild pitch, hanging the 7 spot. But you'd like to, you know, come out and make that stand up in the bottom half of the 7th. And, you know, instead, you give up the infield single that you probably should have made the play. I mean, Braun had a chance at it, and then you had a chance with the second baseman in the shift, and nobody could corral it. And you get the interference call. Credit to Mosley. He gets a bunt down with 2 strikes. And then Randall pokes one into left field that was a foot over his head and off the plate. But you just didn't do anything against the bullpen, especially Hooks, after that. And this is just it's a bad weekend. And look, just about everybody in the SEC's had them. Now, if you look at it, I believe 13 of the 16 teams have had a winless weekend. I have to phrase it that way because I'm including Texas now in that. They went to College Station and lost 2 games. They did not play a 3rd game. They waited until 10 o'clock last night to get on the bus and drive out to Austin. It just wouldn't stop raining in College Station. But everybody's had one of these. 13 teams have gotten either swept or had an 0-2 weekend like Texas did. It just comes at a bad time. And you make the turn now at 6-9, and if you look at where your RPI is, and you look at what this team plays like, and you look at their record, and you realize that 7-8 is probably a bare minimum to get into the tournament, it's an uphill battle. I know that Mississippi State's lost 6 home games in a row. That's not going to be a picnic in 2 weeks. Going to Athens is going to be extremely difficult with this pitching staff, keeping that offense in the yard. You're going to put a lot of eggs in the basket of South Carolina, which comes to the box, but you know they're 5-6 since they fired Maneri. 3 of those wins are against Missouri. I get it, but they're 5-6 since they fired Maneri. So it's just it's an inauspicious spot, and I'll tell you this: I gave up. Well, that's too strong a word. I hit the panic button in 2023 when the bullpen did not have Shores anymore and did not have Garrett Edwards anymore, and I just didn't think they had enough arms beyond Skeens because Floyd had not established himself and Cooper was getting knocked around a little bit. And you just didn't really have anything, and you paid for it because Mississippi State came back and beat you in comeback fashion. And like I just didn't think they had anything after Skeen through his 7 dominant innings. Like everybody else is getting hit, and I just felt like they were in a bad spot. And I said so on the show. I put the panic button. I quit on the team the next year in 2024 when they were 3-12. Said no chance, and both of those teams proved me very, very wrong. And I learned from those 2 instances not to give up in a long baseball season. Not to give up. So I'm not giving up on this team in this baseball season. Not at all. And I don't think they are either. They're fighting. it's just difficult for me to try to explain this away and suggest that a switch is going to be flipped. Like, that's a difficult thing to try to determine. It's difficult to try to tell you that the defense is not going to cost them 3 or 4 runs every weekend. It's difficult for me to tell you that they've got really good pitching, which they clearly don't. It's difficult for me to tell you that the offense is really coming along when the fact of the matter is that they've struggled mightily against good arms. I wrote this in Around the Horn over the weekend, but I'll give you the numbers. If you look at the numbers against the best pitchers they've seen, so LJ Mercurius from Oklahoma, Jackson Jelkin from Kentucky, and then at Tennessee, Landon Mack, the Friday starter, Tegan Coons, the Saturday starter, and Appenzeller, their closer, who came in. And then the 3 starters from this weekend, Elliott, Townsend, and Rabe. You're talking about 47 1/3 innings of work in SEC play against the good arms. 47 1/3. LSU has got 12 earned runs in those 47 1/3. They've got 52 strikeouts and 9 walks. None of those pitchers has walked more than 2 LSU hitters, and none of those pitchers, none of them, you're talking about 8 of them, not a single one of them has allowed more than 2 earned runs to LSU. 8 guys. No one has allowed more than 2 earned runs. So they're not hitting really good pitching. They're not playing good defense. They don't have elite pitching. There's just not a lot to hang your hat on with this team right now. And so, again, we'll not sit here and tell you that they're toast, because I'm just not going to be the idiot that does that 3 times in 4 years. I don't feel good about it at all. And if you asked me right now whether or not they're going to make the NCAA tournament, I would tell you they are not. I would have told you that 2 years ago, and they did. If you asked me, I would say they're not. They got a lot of baseball to play, and I'm excited to watch them play tomorrow, and I'll be fired up to be in the box. I'm doing color with Chris Blair for all 3 games over the weekend against A&M. I'll see every pitch. I'll be locked in, and I hope they play awesome. But I've seen a lot of this team, and what I see doesn't suggest to me that they're just one tweak from getting it done. And one of the main issues, it's not something we're pointing out very often, is what this pitching is doing. 1, what Schmidt and Evans are doing, and 2, what LSU is trying to do without Cooper Moore. I'll put some numbers to that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services, Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Give them a call, 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562. Neil and Melissa Boudreaux have been running Boudreaux's Electrical for more than 40 years. It's a local, family-owned operation, and that's where you need to get your Generac home standby generator from. It is a game changer. The peace of mind that you will have with that Generac standby generator at your home is priceless. You don't have to worry about losing power. Maybe you work from home. Maybe you've got young kids and you just need electricity. Well, Boudreaux's Electrical Services will make sure that you have that. And, oh, by the way, they'll install it, they'll monitor it, they'll handle your maintenance as well, and you get that personal touch from dealing with a local company. You can buy that Generac home standby generator from any of the big box stores, right? But what's the customer service aspect like after you make that purchase? You don't have to ask that question at Boudreaux's Electrical, because Neil and Melissa make sure that it's fantastic. So give them a call, 985-397-1562, or at the Gonzales location, 225-300-9389. That's Boudreaux's Electrical.
You've been thinking about it for 365 days. Now's the time to make that change. And one day at the Fusion Implant Center can change your life forever. Hi, this is Dr. Michael Casadaband.
And I'm Dr. Leo Reagan. Are you one of 50 million people missing teeth or tired of wearing dentures? If so, at Fusion Implant Center, we have a solution for you.
The board-certified doctors here at Fusion Implant Center will ensure your procedures are done correctly, painlessly, and cost-effectively. Over 30,000 dental implants placed, and a 5-star Google rating back this up.
The larger corporate-owned centers don't do what we do, plain and simple. At Fusion Implant Center, you will see the same staff and specialists each visit, the same local doctors that have been treating patients for over 30 years.
So don't give it a second thought. Your first consultation is free. Give us a call or visit FusionImplantCenter.com.
Because one moment can change a day, and one day at Fusion Implant Center can change your life forever.
Hey, it's Hunt Palmer. I'm here to tell you about my friend Jonathan Carbo and the Highland Insurance Group based right here in Baton Rouge. At the Highland Insurance Group, they pride themselves on technical expertise when it comes to commercial insurance. If you're a business owner who isn't familiar with the details of your current insurance program, you're not alone, but now is the time to fix it, not after the hurricane or the car accident. Call the Highland Insurance Group today to set up a free audit of your policies and let their experts place your program with one of the dozens of carriers they're contracted with. Or find them online at the Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
Hey, do you love beef? I mean premium Angus beef. Sagrera Farm sells the whole sides and quarters straight from the farm, ready to fill your freezer with tender, flavorful ribeyes, fillets, strips, brisket, ground beef, and a lot more. I want to introduce you to Louisiana's own Sean Sagrera of Sagrera Farms, a hidden gem just 30 minutes north of Baton Rouge. What's Sean's secret? Mating genetically superior Angus cattle and then ensuring that every day in the life of his cattle is a great one. Happy, healthy cattle, finished on grain, dry-aged 45 days, creates consistent and predictable, flavorful beef. When you take a bite of Sagrera Farms beef, you'll know that this is not some mass-produced afterthought. So if you want the best, and I mean the best in Angus beef, go online to sagrerafarms.com, or better yet, call Sean right now at 225-719-1723. Sagrera Farms.
Feel like you're stuck in a rut at work? Go to TRICAREautomotive.com, click the Join Our Team button, and see what TRICARE has to offer you. That's TRICAREautomotive.com.
Facing ED or low T can be frustrating, but it doesn't have to hold you back. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers effective treatments starting at $125 a month with no contracts. Visit yourgoodwood.com and take control of your health.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
All right, we'll talk about the 2 hours of football that we got to watch back on Saturday. We'll do that coming up in about 15 minutes. I want to stick with baseball one more segment, and then we'll transition over to football. Got to do some Saints talk a little bit later, and I'd like to recap the Masters as well. So there's a lot to do, as usual, on a Monday show. Let me be very clear in prefacing this segment. I think Kason Evans and William Schmidt are good pitchers. I think they're absolute positives for this LSU baseball team. And I'm confident when one of those guys is on the mound at bat to at bat. Okay? So I don't want this segment to come off as negative. But I do want to lay out what those guys have done, because we're going to talk about the 2024 season a lot when they found it and pushed forward, played their best baseball, and went 10-5 down the stretch and did a good job to get in the NCAA tournament. That was largely led by Luke Holman and Gage Jump, right? Those two guys went out and were horses for LSU and gave LSU a real chance in Game 1 and Game 2 every week. And Kason Evans and William Schmidt just haven't reached that level. They haven't taken a big step. There have been outings that have been very impressive. Like, obviously, Kason Evans going 7 2/3 of shutout baseball with 15 strikeouts against Oklahoma is phenomenal stuff. I thought William Schmidt against Kentucky was excellent. 5 1/3, 6 hits, no runs. Strikeout numbers were low, but he got you into the 6th inning and didn't give up any runs. Like, there are outings here or there that are pretty good. But on the whole, it's pretty mediocre statistically. Kason Evans' SEC ERA is 4.60. 4.60. Schmidt's is a hair under 4. It's 3.97. But consider this. Those guys, we've played 5 weeks of SEC baseball, right? So that's 10 starts for those two a weekend. 10 starts. They've completed 6 innings, 3 out of 10. Kason Evans did it against Kentucky and Oklahoma. Oh, sorry, 3 again. Ole Miss. He did it 3 times. Oklahoma, Kentucky, and Ole Miss. Schmidt has not done it yet. He has not completed 6 innings at any point. Against Tennessee, he went 5 2/3 last week and allowed 3 hits, 2 earned runs. So you're not getting deep into games. You're not dominating. It's just okay pitching is what it is. And those two guys have not been crushed. They've allowed 4 or more earned runs just 3 of the 10 outings. It's not that they're getting knocked all over the place, but they're not dominating. They're not asserting their will. It's really just Evans against Oklahoma, and everything else has just been kind of okay. The other number that's extremely concerning is they have 30 walks in 51 innings of work. 30 walks in 51 innings. 30 walks in 60 innings would be one every 2 frames, and that's too many. This is more than that. 30 walks in 51 frames, just not going to get it. And this pitching staff is allowing 6.7 runs per game in league play, 6.7 runs per game in SEC play. They've only held SEC opponents in 15 games to 3 runs or fewer twice. Twice they've done that. And the teams have scored 8 or more in 6 of 15 games. So almost half the time you're allowing 8 or more. For context, how many times did LSU allow 8 or more runs in SEC play last year in 30 games? It was 4. They've done it 6 in half the games this year. And that's the thing in this town when you cover baseball and you have discussions. Like, in most places, you would go, well, you can't just compare everybody to Anderson and Ianson. And Anderson and Ianson could be the greatest 1-2 punch in LSU history. If you look at what they did down the stretch, and you look at the fact that that team did hoist a trophy, like, I'm not going to tell you they're definitively the best 1-2 in LSU history, but, man, it's pretty good. And so to sit here and suggest that you're just supposed to do that again the next year is asking a lot, but ultimately, you get asked a lot at LSU. I go in that interview room after every game that I cover, and they got Omaha written in huge letters. There's pictures of dog piles everywhere. I went to do something for the network in December, and I walked into the baseball office, and there was a painting crew in there, and there was stuff like all over the place. And I was told that, yeah, well, the team, the 2023 team got its mural put up there over the 2009 champions. That one had been on the wall for 14 years there. So they changed it, and they didn't want to take the 2023 team down off the wall, so they were painting a different wall. The point being, they were having to move furniture around to keep up with painting national championships on the wall over there, okay? The conversations we have around here are graded on a pretty high curve. And right now, you're getting C-plus baseball, B-minus baseball from William Schmidt and Kason Evans, and the top of your rotation needs to be an A, and it's not. And so, again, like, Kason Evans and William Schmidt are so far from the main problem on this LSU team. So far from it. Awful defense, can't hit aces. Your base running is bad at times. Like, there's so much worse than what Evans and Schmidt are doing. But I just want to point out, because these two were kind of thought of as the catalyst of this team, that they haven't just massively ascended. They're better than they were a year ago in this role. Kason Evans is better than he was in the 2 starts he made in SEC play last year. But they're just not Anderson and Ianson. They're not Skeens. They're not Lang. They're not Nola or Gaussman. And LSU hasn't really won a lot when they've been out there. You look at when Evans pitched against Vanderbilt, you lost. He pitched against Oklahoma, you won. He pitched against Kentucky, you lost. He pitched against Tennessee, you lost. He pitched against Ole Miss, you lost. LSU's 1-4 in Kason Evans starts in the SEC. Schmidt against Vanderbilt, you won that game in a ridiculous slugfest. Oklahoma, you lost. Kentucky, you won. Tennessee, you lost. And Ole Miss, you lost. So, like, you've won 3 of their 10 starts. Like, you're 3-7 when they start in SEC play. It's not all their fault. It's not all their fault. But it's just, you're not getting that great effort that you kind of thought you might when you saw Kason Evans against Little Rock last year and you saw him against UCLA last year. Have you seen that UCLA team this year? They've added like 2 guys, Gasparino, but it's basically the same lineup as last year. Kason Evans went out there in Omaha and locked him up. And Schmidt is thought of as this elite level prospect, which he is. But you look at the line score, and it's just never quite dominant. You're talking about 30 strikeouts to 14 walks. Evans at 38 strikeouts to 16 walks. 16 walks in 5 starts for Case and Evans. That's an average of more than 3. So, last thing, I mean, I'm sounding like a broken record a little bit, and I get it, but I don't mean to pile on them. They are one of the strengths of this team. But if you're talking about a Holman jump-like resurgence from those guys that catapults this team forward in the second half of the season, like this type of effort isn't going to do it. It's got to be better than that. I need to see 7 1/3. I need to see 7 innings. I need to see 1 earned run instead of 4 earned runs. And you just don't get that very consistently at this point from those guys. And against an Ole Miss lineup that's pretty anemic, you went out there and it just wasn't great. Those two combined to go 9 2/3 innings, and they allowed 7 earned runs. That's an ERA of 7. It's just not good enough. So hopefully those guys are really good this weekend, because Texas A&M is bringing the bats to Alec Box. Those guys can absolutely rake. So if your pitching's not on point, you'll get shown up. We'll see. Let's switch to football. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. You know, safety can be a big issue in the bathroom, especially as folks age. If there's somebody in your life who you'd like to take care of from that perspective, and you'd like to mitigate that risk of what could be a hazardous situation, talk to David about it. Have that conversation. You can put in non-slip floors. You can put guardrails around slippery areas. You can put in a walk-in tub for comfort and convenience, safety. You can put in a bench in the shower. These could be difference makers in a risky situation. Have that sit down with David. Go to onebathandclosets.com, request that free consultation. You can see pictures of their great work, and you can see the reviews from their satisfied clients. It's One Bath and Closets. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
It's baseball season, and every great team needs a solid game plan. I'm Erin Dayrosh, owner of Bayou State Lending. For over 20 years, I've helped Louisiana families step up to the plate with confidence. Swing over to BayouStateLending.com today.
It's the biggest and best golf event in the region, the Zurich Classic. Go VIP with the best of the Zurich Pass. Get access to multiple Fidelity Bank fairway clubs all across the course. Or grab your crew and head straight to the party at the Walk-Ons Pac 9 Club with food, drinks, music, and AC. VIP vibes. Or party all day while watching the world's best golfers. See you at the Zurich, April 23rd through 26th. Get your tickets now at ZurichGolfClassic.com.
It's supposed to be hot outside, not in your house. Go to emsair.net for Emerson Heating and Air, and we'll come cool things off. That's emsair.net for Emerson Heating and Air. Proud to be locally owned and operated. Emerson Heating and Air.
Guaranty Health Solutions is guiding healthcare forward, partnering with healthcare organizations nationwide to elevate patient experience and drive growth. From urgent care and emergency rooms to specialty care. Visit GuarantyHealth.com today to get started.
In Baton Rouge, industry is thriving and culture never left. From blueprints to bayous, boardrooms to breweries, it's where work and life move forward together, always scaling for what's next without losing what matters. We're a region of makers, movers, founders, and foodies who turn ambition into impact and ideas into lasting change. If you're looking for a place to grow with purpose and pride, you'll find it here. It's better in Baton Rouge. BetterInBTR.com.
Did you know there's more than just LASIK to get out of glasses, contacts, or even readers? At Williamson Eye Center, modern vision correction offers options for distance, near vision, and astigmatism, even for people who were told they weren't candidates before. Schedule a free consultation to discover which procedure fits your eyes and your lifestyle. Virtual and in-person consults are available. Learn more and book today at williamsoneye.com. That's williamsoneye.com.
Flu is running rampant. If you want to sanitize any space, your home, any public building, office building, work, doctor's office, church, Parish Restoration can help. Just go to parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. They'll come in, they'll spray their patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. It is safe, it is effective, it is efficient, it is cost-effective. It's Parish Restoration. Get rid of flu and other harmful toxins and pathogens, parishrestoration.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Closing on a home? Mid-City Title makes it super simple. Mobile closings, expert service. MidCityTitle.com.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
If you're wondering which Ochsner location to go to for your particular symptoms, you can visit their symptom checker online at ochsner.org/findcare. Primary care is your comprehensive continuous care, your annual checkups, immunizations, some asthma, maybe mild to moderate chest pain, chronic disease management like blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar. That's your primary care. Urgent care needs immediate care for some common illnesses like lacerations, abscesses, maybe urinary pain. You got rashes or mild to moderate stomach aches. Walk-ins are welcome there for the urgent care at Ochsner. You can find a location near you at www.ochsner.org/UC. And, of course, emergency care is severe and life-threatening conditions, severe chest pain, severe bleeding, maybe severe allergic reaction or sudden vision loss. Certainly need to call 911 immediately if that is the case. Ochsner's got 24/7 virtual care options they want to make sure you're aware of. You can schedule online through My Ochsner, and convenient follow-ups and routine care are available. Download that My Ochsner app at www.ochsner.org/myo, or you can call Ochsner on call at 1-800-231-5257. That's our friends over at Ochsner. All right, I really didn't know what we were getting into on Saturday. I told y'all that on Friday. I told y'all we had a time to be at Tiger Stadium, which was 11:15, and I just didn't know what we would see. Turns out they let us in at 11:15. We went up in the press box, and they went through some stretching, some calisthenic stuff, got into some individual drills, and they actually ran a scrimmage that had, I believe, 13 possessions. The ones against the ones, twos against the twos, threes against the threes for the most part. And we actually got to see some things. It was not a full contact scrimmage. Nobody was being tackled. There was some thudding. If there's a running play, you kind of run the run, and then everybody kind of comes together and they blow the whistle. There was no sacking the quarterbacks, obviously. It was, I would say, full speed, but not tackling. So that's what we got to look at. From a roll call perspective, Whit Weeks was there, not dressed out. Sam Levitt was there in a jersey and a helmet, but he had on tennis shoes and was not participating. So you know that he was a week out from getting that screw removed. We thought because he wasn't there last week at any point that maybe he was done for the spring in all capacities. He was at least out there on Saturday with the team. So let's talk about some of the action we saw. 19 possessions, 9 by the first team, 7 by the second team, and 3 for the third team. And let me tell you this, folks. This is not exactly a debatable point. The defense dominated the day. Lane Kiffin said last week that the defense is ahead of the offense, and you would expect that. You've got the defensive staff that's there. You've got some pieces of the defense from last year, Woodland, Pickett, Spears, Cooley, Keys. Like, you've got some pieces, McKinley. So you've got a little bit of continuity on the defense. The offense is just completely new. New quarterbacks, new offensive line outside of the center and the right tackle. You got new guys at wide receiver. Tradez is there. Running backs are a little bit the same. But it's a lot of turnover, and it looked it. They did not block the defense very well. The guys were not open. There were some drops, some snaps that were botched. Like, it was an ugly offensive day, really from start to finish. There were 5 interceptions. Landon Clark threw 3 of them. Huson Longstreet threw a pair. 2 of the interceptions came from Aiden Anding. One was a really nice play. He made a jump ball interception over Corey Barber. The second was a little flat out route that he jumped. Now, I'll tell you this. He made the interception, and after like 2 steps went down. And then he stayed down for a while. And then the training staff had to help him off the field. He had his arms around shoulders. And they put him on the table for a significant amount of time. And then he was in a boot the rest of the day. I don't know what happened to the foot or ankle. It's not like we get a replay. I'm way up in the press box. It's kind of hard to see anyway. He did not return to action and was in a boot. So that was a little bit of a bummer because he had a really good day. I thought P.J. Woodland played very, very well as well. Broke up a couple of passes, had an interception of Landon Clark. Clark sailed a couple of passes over the middle to Marcus Cooley, intercepted one of them. Ty Benefield intercepted the other one. I thought the DBs had a really, really strong day, and that's a good thing. Now, there were some explosive plays. Roman Mothershed, who's the big physical wide receiver from Troy, made a really good catch on a go route for a touchdown. Emil Picarella threw it out there, and he made the catch on it. He also made a really nice adjustment on a back shoulder throw and made the catch, so that looked really good. Malachi Thomas, the tight end transfer from Pitt, had a really long catch and run for a score. It was like 73 yards. Winnie Watkins had the same. He ran like a seam route between Fahim Delane, the safety, and Jace Thomas, the other safety. Longstreet floated it between the levels, and Watkins caught it, and he was off to the races, so that was a really nice throw and catch. And one thing I did notice significantly in the offense is that and this is not a shock to anybody, but I noticed it, that Trey'Dez Green was very heavily involved in what they're trying to do. They're going to feature Trey'Dez Green. There's a great story that the Alabama media tells that when Doug Nussmeier was the offensive coordinator for Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa, they brought Saban in to take a look at the offense. They brought Kiffin in to take a look at the offense when Kiffin was unemployed. And Kiffin kind of looked at it and he was like, well, I mean, you got Amari Cooper and you got Derrick Henry, so I would give them the ball more. Like that's the deal. Like, you got these really good players, and like, you're targeting guys that you probably shouldn't target as much. Like, go with those dudes. And so in this case, like, you've got Trey'Dez Green, you're going to throw the ball to Trey'Dez Green, and they threw the ball to Trey'Dez Green a bit on Saturday. Just a couple of more just kind of news and notes. Richard Anderson spent, I believe, the entire afternoon doing like agility work off to the side in full pads. He didn't look hurt. He wasn't in no contact. I'm not sure if it was punishment or if that's what they think he needs to do to get better, or I'm not really sure. But the whole team was out doing scrimmages, the first team, second team, and third team, and he was down on the sideline at Tiger Stadium, like doing side-to-side shuffles and jumping. Like, he was doing a bunch of that stuff, so I don't know why that was the case. Punt returners. They were doing some punt return drills. You saw Jace Brown, the Kansas State transfer back, Winnie Watkins, the Ole Miss transfer back, Trey Wilson, the Florida transfer back, Jabari Mack, true freshman, was back there, and then Narjor Granger as well, who just joined the team. But I think it looks to me like your punt returners are Jace Brown, Winnie Watkins, Trey Wilson, and Jabari Mack. They were taking punts from Hayden Craig, who's the lefty, and Grant Chadwick, who's the righty. I thought Craig had a better day. He transferred in from Florida, but both had their struggles. There were some issues punting the football. There's something that's got to be cleaned up, and that's going to be a competition at the punter spot. At kicker, Scott Starzik, the Arkansas transfer, is very likely the front runner in that spot. He missed one from 56. It was just wide left. He also missed a couple that were inside 50 yards, but he hit a couple of 33-yarders too. The 56-yarder had plenty of room. He just pulled it to the left a little bit. On the offensive line, there was one notable change. Well, two, I guess I should say. One on the first team, one on the second team. On the first team, you're seeing Bo Bordelon play a good bit at the left guard spot. There's been a little bit of a rotation there between he and Devin Harper, the Ole Miss transfer. Bordelon's an older player, and I believe the new offensive line coaching staff really likes him. So he's taking some reps at left guard. At left tackle with the second team, it had been Bryson Martinez, the freshman, who had been out there as the second team left tackle. This time around, Sean Tompkins, the Baylor transfer, who played a little bit of tackle for Baylor, was out there at left tackle. Clearly, Jordan Seaton is your number one guy there at left tackle, but they have rotated who's come in at the second spot there. So, again, it was a day of no tackle, spring scrimmaging. I'm not going to draw massive sweeping deals from it. You did not have your starting quarterback out there. That obviously hurt. But the pass rush for LSU was really good. The coverage was really good. They got their hands on some balls. They made things really, really difficult. When Matt and I were discussing what we saw after the scrimmage was over, He gave me the number, and I've got it here, that the first team had nine drives. Turnover on downs, interception, turnover on downs, interception, touchdown, turnover on downs. So only one touchdown produced by the first team offense against the first team defense. Didn't have their quarterback, obviously. But it was a sloppy day for the offense, to be sure. And I thought the defense certainly won the day. So curious what Lane Kiffin will have to say about that. We'll get a chance to hear from him tomorrow. We get a long look at practice again tomorrow, so look for some good content on LouisianaSports.net as well as on the show. So we'll get to go in a little before 10 o'clock tomorrow and see, I believe, the entirety of practice. So be tough to get a practice report written before my show, but I'll do everything that I can to do that, just depending on what time we get out of there on Tuesday morning. But LSU continues to churn through the spring. If you want to read everything I wrote about the practice in the scrimmage inside Tiger Stadium, you can do so at LouisianaSports.net. There's a Teams tab at the top. You just click LSU and go check that out. Appreciate Lane Kiffin for letting us watch a little bit, and we'll do a little bit more tomorrow. Looking forward to that. All right, chugging along here on a Monday edition of the Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. We will step aside and come back, close out the hour with a new hire for LSU basketball and what that may mean next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carbo and his team are phenomenal folks to work with in the insurance game. The thing that sets them apart is their technical knowledge. That's what you want in your insurance broker. You want an expert. I know that everybody immediately goes to the price, and certainly the Highland Insurance Group wants to take that very, very seriously. Premium's important, but you want to make sure you're covered. What do you need in employment practice liability insurance? Why do you need or not need cyber coverage? What should your umbrella limit be? Where'd your building valuation come from? Why'd you settle on that deductible? What's your business income limit? Do you have that coverage? If you're not allowed to work, does that income come in? All these are questions that have to be asked when you're putting that program together, and they certainly will be if you work with the Highland Insurance Group. If you're just calling to say, hey, I need to save 20% of my next renewal, that's probably not realistic in this marketplace. But if you want to make sure that for the money you are spending on insurance, that your business is taken care of, that it is covered, the Highland Insurance Group will do that. Find them online at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
When I walked into MetFit RX, I thought I was just getting another weight loss shot. What I got was a complete transformation. Their gold standard visit looks at your whole metabolic picture, cardiovascular risk, nutrition, and exercise, all brought together into one clear, personalized plan. For the first time, I didn't feel overwhelmed with my health plan. I had a roadmap, and I knew exactly how to follow it. If you're ready to take control of your metabolic health, visit MetFit RX, located inside Pharmaceutical Specialties. That's MetFitRx.com.
Did you hear that? That's a propane burner firing up another delicious outdoor seafood boil. I'm Miss Louisiana Gabrielle McLeod with some safety messages when cooking seafood outdoors. First, make sure your propane burner is at least 10 feet from anything flammable. Place thawed seafood in the pot, cover your shrimp, crab, crawfish, and fixings, and leave 2 inches of space at the top of your pot. And don't forget the seasonings. Remove your seafood and set it aside so it drains. Then heat the water to the appropriate temperature. Turn the propane off at the tank and gently lower your pot using gloves or mitts. Then fire up your burner and cook as directed. Don't forget to turn off your burner before removing your seafood. Now sit back and enjoy another fabulous Louisiana feast. Fuel for our future. I'm Gabrielle McLeod, Miss Louisiana. For more delicious safety tips, go to LouisianaPropane.com.
In today's world, reliable energy isn't optional. It's essential. That's where Generac Industrial Energy leads the way. From generation to storage and distribution, our connected solutions are built to power critical infrastructure and keep businesses running. We don't do one-size-fits-all. We engineer custom energy systems designed around your needs, with seamless integration and unmatched support. Generac Industrial Energy. Energy for everything. Contact Arco Power Systems in Louisiana today. Learn more at arco.com.
Matt Moscona visiting with Darren James. Darren, what makes you different than other realtors?
That's a great question, man. I get a question all the time. Number one is our communication guarantee. Number one complaint that a lot of people have is that their agent listed their property or trying to work with them in the process and they didn't communicate with them properly. We have a communication guarantee within our business. We love serving our clients. We love giving 100%. We love making it happen.
If you need to sell your home, you need Darren James. Call 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
You know what you need before summer gets here? A membership at Southern Oaks Athletic Club. Come see our brand new renovated pool deck. It looks incredible and is quickly becoming one of the best places in Baton Rouge to spend a hot day. By the way, our pool opened in March. Plus, Southern Oaks offers summer camps, swim team, and swim clinics for kids who are just learning to swim. Tennis courts, a huge gym, great classes, and so much more. Not a member yet? Come see everything Southern Oaks Athletic Club has to offer at soakitup.com. That's SOAC itup.com.
Brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Guarantee Health Solutions brings you our Monday shows. You can find them online at GuaranteeHealth.com, GuaranteeHealth.com. Rachel Fricke and her team they're awesome. They do such incredible work with those in the healthcare space. Rachel kind of dreamt up this Guarantee Health Solutions idea in a tough time in her life. Her mom, unfortunately, was diagnosed with cancer, and so Rachel spent a lot of time during that journey and realized, because of her background in hospitality in the hotel world, just how impersonal the healthcare system can be, just how uncomfortable that journey can be for a patient. And so she set out to change that, and she's doing it with Guarantee Health Solutions. So if you're in the healthcare space, whether you're with a dental office, with a hospital, with an urgent care, with a private clinic, no matter what the case may be, and you haven't given a lot of thought to what your patient journey looks like, from the website to walking into the waiting room to communication with the office, let the team at Guarantee Health Solutions come in and do that. They want to make sure that you have an easy website to navigate. They want to make sure that you've got a great location. They want to make sure that when the patient walks in the front door, they're greeted properly and have a positive experience. They want to make sure that they're contacted to come back for those annual checkups. Make sure that patients are getting in the door. In the process of all this, they'll protect your brand, and they can help you with marketing. They're moving healthcare forward at Guarantee Health Solutions. Find them online at GuaranteeHealth.com. That's GuaranteeHealth.com. All right, LSU made official what we've kind of heard over the last couple of weeks is that Damon Stoudamire will be added to the coaching staff. So you look at Will Wade's coaching staff here at LSU. He brings in Rick Stansberry kind of as the lead assistant here. Johnny Jones, who has such a long history at LSU and in Baton Rouge. And then maybe the biggest name, Damon Stoudamire, is added to the coaching staff today. Damon Stoudamire was a prolific player at Arizona in the 90s. Went on to play 13 years in the NBA. He was fifth on Arizona's scoring list when he finished there, and had the second most assists in the Lute Olson era. He was the first Arizona player in history to score 40 points in a game twice, and at the time, one of only 3 Wildcats to score more than 600 points in a season twice. He had the most threes in the history of Arizona basketball when he left, and then was the 7th pick in the draft. He had a great NBA career. And then after he retired, got into coaching pretty quickly, became the director of player development at Rice for a season, went to the Memphis Grizzlies and sat on their bench for a couple of years, then came to University of Memphis in the same building, same town, and worked there for a couple of years before going to Arizona as an assistant coach. They had some real success when he was there at Arizona. Then he went back to Memphis for a year and got his first head coaching job at Pacific in 2016. His best year at Pacific was in 2020, unfortunately, when they won 23 games. They were 11-5 in the West Coast Conference, finishing third, and then obviously nobody got to play their conference tournament that year. But after he was at Pacific, he went back to the NBA as an assistant with the Celtics, and then was named the head coach at Georgia Tech for the last couple of years, and was let go after this past season. Stoudamire is a big name. He has worked at big-time programs. Like, Memphis is a big-time program. Arizona is a big-time program. He's played at the highest level, and I think one thing that, because like I don't know a lot about Damon Stoudamire, the guy or the coach, right? But you know who Damon Stoudamire is. And Will Wade's plan here at LSU is to get players on his roster that play in the NBA. Cam Thomas, Trendon Watford, Naz Reid, Skylar Mays, like these guys played in the NBA off those Will Wade teams, and he expects to do that. And I think having someone on your staff who was an All-American and a star at the college level, who did succeed for more than a decade at the highest level in the NBA, who has coached in the NBA, I just think that's an asset to have to the program. You look at how this staff, just from the outside, comes together, and I'm not going to talk X's and O's here, but you know that Rick Stansbury knows how to recruit. He's been recruiting for 30 years. You know that Johnny Jones knows LSU, he knows Houston, he knows Dallas, and he's on your bench as well. And you know Damon Stoudamire knows high-level recruiting, did it at Arizona, and knows the NBA where these kids are trying to go. I mean, how often you hear Jay Johnson talk about, we got to have major league players? You got to have NBA players in college basketball. You just do. And so I think that the profiles of these assistants that Will Wade is luring in are good. As Will Wade said in his introductory press conference, he's the head coach, he's the general manager, he's the CEO, he's handling it all. But he's got to delegate some of this stuff, and I think that what he's put together here makes a lot of sense from a profile perspective. I don't get the sense that Rick Stansbury is going anywhere anytime soon. This, I'm quite confident, will be Johnny Jones's last job. And Damon Stoudamire has now had 2 swings at being a head coach in college. Perhaps he gets another, but for right now, like, this is kind of where he is. So you might have a little bit of continuity on that staff for a couple of years, which would be a really good thing. Will Wade never had any continuity with anything when he was here the first time. Always, always, always just the NCAA lingering and never, I mean, he's suspended half the time. Like, he gets a fresh slate.